how these cards look a lot like the major arcana, the sun and the moon, and I just want to talk about how it might reflect Solus. Now, I don't know loads about tarot, but I did reach out to a friend who knows a lot more than I do, but again, if I missed anything, please leave comments, search this video, let me know your thoughts. I believe that the sun represents vitality, joy, warmth, confidence, truth and possibility. The sun will rise again, there will always be hope for the next day, and as one might put it, the dawn will come. And the sun will light the way, it will reveal the truth. Now the reverse can mean negativity, depression, sadness, oppression, conceitedness. The sun is shining too bright, it'll burn the corn. You can be blinded by your own light, and it's a reminder to keep realistic goals. Then the moon can represent illusion, intuition, complexity, secrets, anxiety. Clouded visions of the sky, the mysterious moonlight, the shadows hidden in twilight. What is true? A warning over making hasty decisions about hidden information still needed to be revealed. And the reverse can mean fear, truth, and unveiling. The moon comes to an end, greeting the rising sun, and chases away shadows, but not enough to truly feel free. So I said before in the previous video that I feel like these could be ending cards as well as showing the journey that Solus has been on. So I do think that this looks like more of a hopeful card and a hopeful ending as long as Solus isn't blinded by his goals or his pride. I think it's interesting about this one talking about lies and secrets and almost trickery, that he could fall back into that Fen'Harel role as the trickster and maybe lead to some kind of betrayal if he makes hasty decisions and perhaps trusts the wrong people. Solus' romance card is meant to be the Hierophant, which is depicted here, but I don't think that's true. I think it's the Fool. And the conspiracy theory is that Solus is the person who's actually drawing the deck, and he sees himself as the Hierophant when he's actually the Fool. This is backed up by the fact that he made Sarah the Fool, because of course he did. And I feel like it is like similar, the Fool card and the Sarah card, so I'm not saying it's outside the realms of possibility, but that's nothing like the Hierophant. But let's go into a little bit about the Hierophant and the Fool card and their meaning. I'm not an expert on this, it's just things I've found on the internet, so people who know more about this, please do comment and let me know things that I've missed. Now the Hierophant can also be known as the High Priest, and it talks about tradition, authority, leadership, religion, institution, beliefs, and spreading conventional wisdom. Reversed, it talks about challenging power, rejecting authority, alternative lifestyles and reverse roles, non-conformity, and having to choose between doing what's expected of you and just playing it safe, which does relate to Solus, I don't disagree. But Fen'Harel is a god of rebellion, so the upright Hierophant just doesn't sit right with me, even though it has this conventional wisdom role, which he is this association with wisdom. And there's the Fool that's associated with innocence, freedom, adventure, travel, foolishness, new beginnings, youth. And then reversed, it talks about recklessness, negligence, stillness, immaturity, and bad decisions. The advice is don't be afraid to take new chances and go on new adventures. But to me, because this is a card that you can only get if you romance Solus, that it just really fits that Fool card a lot closer to the Hierophant card, about him taking chances, new beginnings, about being that fool in love, over the responsibility that he has to his people, just really fits his character closer than the Hierophant card. Not to mention the fact that they've both got the little white dog. Little white dog, very similar colour palette. I just feel it. Yes, this is an excellent point, as tarot is kind of telling like a story, and the Tower card is the state where kind of Solus leaves the Inquisition, and I don't think he's kind of progressed in any way since then. But the next card is the Star card, and I think that that could tell us a lot about what we can expect to come in Veilguard. As whatever Solus was going to do was kind of doomed from the start, because the Tower card represents like upheaval, disaster, chaos, sudden change, unforeseen consequences, which, as we can see from the Veilguard trailer, definitely happened based on his actions. Then we have the Star card, which can represent hope, inspiration, optimism. Being able to see beyond the current difficulties can also be about regeneration and healing, which I think could tie to Rook. Rook is this new character with new ideas, so hopefully could be a positive change for the future. And when we combine these cards together, it can represent that things are broken down and we need to rebuild for a brighter future, for a better future. And I think that Soulless is kind of passing on this journey to Rook. So hopefully a new character can come in with some new ideas and succeed where Soulless has failed. As we've already been told that Rook is a mirror of Soulless, so it'll be interesting to see how their dynamic is in the Veilguard. Well, the star card in Inquisition was actually Serra's card. So looking at this card, what can we think that we can predict from maybe possible endings for the Veilguard? The first thing that shouts out to me with this card that I find particularly interesting is that Serra doesn't have an actual body for the like chest area. It's just not there. It makes me wonder if Serra is some kind of spirit that gave herself a form, because she doesn't have a full form. But then, like Cole can make himself forget, she made herself forget when she did it. Now this is tinfoil, but she just doesn't have a form. So let's pretend that Serra just is representing the possible future. It could just be that we have humanity and spirits coming together in a more cohesive way. Not that they're actually going to change the physiology of like elves or anything like that, but it's just a representation that spirits and mortals come together in a harmonious relationship. Or this could be representing that there is going to be some kind of physical change to elves if the veil comes down, that they will become actually more ingrained with spirits, with the ability to be able to change their form when they kind of want to, which is hinted at some of the codex entries in the Shattered Library. Particularly Birds of a Feather, which talks about spirits giving themselves forms to kiss, which is one of my favourite codex entries in the game. I have a mutual who's been doing some card breakdown. I will tag them, but they've been talking about how the tarot cards, the dotted lines, can represent magic. And there's just so much magic on this card, which I just think is really interesting for a character that doesn't cast magic. But if we're thinking about progression from the Tower card, this could just represent more magic coming into the world in the Veilguard. And that could be that the veil comes down, or it comes partially down, or we can see that magic is starting to really wake up in the world. But the actual star symbol of this is at the bottom rather than the top. And I think that is maybe signifying about Serra and how uncomfortable she is with magic, that she isn't very hopeful for like that kind of future. Like if you said this stuff to Serra, she would absolutely hate that. So the star being at the bottom in like this reverse thing could be because she kind of rejects this idea of magic, of spirits. It makes her very uncomfortable. But I do think that it is a possible future that magic's coming back, spirits are coming back, and hopefully there's some harmonious relationship between everyone and everything's going to be fine, as the star card is an optimistic card for the future. And I am really optimistic for the future of Thedas.